Open your mouth and eat small. You will be fine. Nothing will happen to you, even though I don't know where you came from.
A miracle comes back with a convoy. Chioma almost dropped the bowl, not because it was heavy, not because her hands were weak, because the sound outside her mud house didn't belong in Odoama, not even in anyone's dreams. Many expensive SUVs arrived at her dusty compound. The sharp squeak of tires on dry sand. Then voices. "Madam, please stand back. Clear the way." A few village children screamed in excitement and ran barefoot behind the sound. Chioma stood in her doorway like a statue. Her wrapper was still dusty from the morning. Her blouse had a small tear near the shoulder. Her grey hair was tired, scattered around her face like it had been arguing with her comb. And there, in the bright delta sun, the village road that usually carried only wheelbarrows and Okada motorcycles was suddenly carrying black SUVs, shiny. Clean. Too clean for this place. The first SUV stopped, then another, then another. People started gathering like the road had, turned into a cinema. Chioma's neighbor, Mama Ejiro, came out holding her waist as if she was holding herself back from falling. "Chioma, what is this?" she whispered. Chioma didn't answer. She couldn't. Her heart was beating like someone was knocking hard on a wooden door inside her chest. Then the last car stopped, and the door opened slowly. A man stepped out, tall, broad shoulders, dark glasses, a white senator-style outfit that looked like it had never touched dust in its life. Even from far, you could tell he was not ordinary. His presence alone made grown men straighten their backs. Someone behind Chioma breathed out loudly and said the words like a prayer. "That is Chief Benson." The name moved through the crowd like wind. Chief Benson, the billionaire CEO. The man people watched on TV, the man they heard on radio, the man whose face had been on the news all week because his daughter went missing. Chioma felt her knees soften, her mouth opened slightly. "No," she whispered, but the word came out like air. Then, another car door opened. A young woman stepped down slowly, not wearing fine clothes, not looking like somebody's princess. Her hair was packed in a rough bun. Her face looked tired, but alive, fully alive. Her eyes scanned the crowd, and when they landed on Chioma, they changed, they filled, like water rising behind a dam. The girl took one step, then another, then she started walking faster, straight toward Chioma's doorway. Chioma's breath caught, because she knew that face, she knew those eyes, she knew the way the girl's lips trembled like she was trying not to cry, and Chioma's throat went dry as sand. The girl stopped in front of her and whispered, "Mama." The whole village went quiet. Even the chickens seemed to pause. Then the girl did something that made Chioma's eyes sting immediately. She dropped to her knees in the dust. Right there. In front of everyone. And she held Chioma's hand like Chioma was the one who was rich. Like Chioma was the one who was important. "Mama Chioma," the girl said, her voice breaking, "I came back. I told you I would. I came back." Chioma swayed. The world spun. Because the girl she fed with jollof rice, the girl she gave her small transport money, was kneeling in front of her, beside Chief Benson, and Chioma realized something too big to carry. That day she helped a stranger. She helped the only daughter of a billionaire. Chioma's eyes rolled slightly. She almost fainted. And the crowd gasped, just as Chief Benson started walking toward her, his face full of tears. 2 months earlier. That morning, Chioma did not wake up thinking her life would change. She woke up because her back ached, because the rooster near her window refused to allow peace, and because her small farm did not care that she was 72. Chioma was an old widow in Odo Ama, a small community village tucked deep inside Delta State, where the air smelled like wet earth and wood smoke, and where people knew your business before you finished thinking it. She lived alone. Her husband had died years ago, malaria and stress, people said. Her only son had traveled to find work and never came back. Sometimes he called, sometimes he didn't, and on the days he didn't, Chioma would sit outside her mud house, stare at the untarred road, and pretend her eyes weren't watering. That morning, she tied her wrapper tight, carried her small hoe, and walked toward her farm path. The sun was still gentle. Birds were still arguing in the trees. Then Chioma saw something near the bush path and stopped. At first, she thought it was a sack, a bundle of clothes, maybe trash. But then she noticed the bundle moved. Just a little. Like a weak breath. Chioma froze. Her eyes narrowed. Her heart did that small jump it always did when fear tried to enter. Jesus, she whispered. She stepped closer, slow, careful. And there, lying half inside the grass, half on the sandy path, was a young woman, in her 20s. Her shirt was ash-colored and torn at the sleeve. Her jeans were stained with mud. Her lips were dry. Her face was pale under her dark skin, like sickness had poured a blanket over her. Her eyes were half open, but not really seeing. Chioma crouched and touched her shoulder. The girl flinched. A tiny sound escaped her throat, barely a sound at all. Ah. My daughter, Chioma said quickly, voice soft. Don't fear. Don't fear. I am not here to harm you. The girl's eyes blinked slowly. Her mouth moved like she wanted to speak, but nothing came. Chioma looked around. No one was around. Only trees. Only birds. Only the quiet that can swallow a person. Chioma's mind ran fast. What if this was a trap? What if people were hiding? What if they said she kidnapped the girl? Her neighbor's voice entered her memory. Mama Ejiro always warning people. Chioma, you care too much. One day you will carry trouble on your head. Chioma swallowed. Then she looked at the girl again. The girl's chest rose and fell weakly, like it was tired of the job. And Chioma's fear lost the fight, because even if trouble came, she could not leave someone to die. Not in front of her. Not like this. No, Chioma whispered. Not today. She bent down. The girl was heavier than she looked, but Chioma was stubborn. She pulled the girl's arm over her shoulder. The girl's head fell against Chioma's neck, hot like fever. Chioma groaned. My back. Oh God, she muttered, but she didn't stop. Step by step, she carried the girl home. Dust rose around their feet. Sweat ran down Chioma's face. Her breath came in small, rough pieces. People on the road saw her and stopped. One young boy pointed. Mama Chioma, who is that? Chioma didn't answer. Two women stared like they were watching a drama. One of them, Auntie Bisi, clicked her tongue. This old woman again. She will carry stranger enter her house. Chioma heard them. She pretended she didn't. When she finally reached her compound, her legs were shaking. She laid the girl carefully on a thin mattress on the floor. The girl's eyes fluttered open. Chioma ran to her small clay pot, scooped water into a cup, and brought it quickly. Drink small, she begged. Just small. The girl's lips touched the cup. She swallowed once, then she coughed lightly. Chioma nodded like a doctor. Good. Good. Then she remembered the leftover jollof rice from last night. Simple rice, smoky from firewood, with small pieces of dried fish. Nothing fancy, but food is food. Chioma brought it and sat beside the girl. She scooped a spoonful and held it near her mouth. Open your mouth and eat small, Chioma said gently, like she was speaking to a child. You will be fine. Nothing will happen to you, even though I don't know where you came from. The girl's lips parted weakly. Chioma fed her small. After a few spoons, the girl's breathing steadied. Her eyes stayed open longer. Chioma sighed, relief touching her like cool water. Thank you, God, she whispered. Then Chioma searched her small bag and brought out the only thing she had. A strip of painkiller tablets she kept for her joints. She hesitated. What if the girl was allergic? What if it made her worse? Then she saw the girl's face twist with pain when she tried to turn. Chioma broke one tablet in half and offered it with water. Take, she said. It will calm your body. The girl swallowed. Minutes later, her eyelids became heavy. She slept, peacefully, and Chioma sat there watching her like a guard. Outside, the village noise continued. Somebody laughed, somebody shouted. A radio played far away. But inside Chioma's small room, it was quiet. The quiet of a life being held together by one woman's hands. Chioma finally stood and went outside to wash her hands. A group of women were already waiting near her fence like they had planned it. Auntie Bissy folded her arms. "Chioma," she said, "now who be that girl? You see her for road and carry enter your house?" Chioma's jaw tightened. "She was dying." Chioma replied simply, "Should I leave her?" Another woman scoffed. "You don't know her people? If police come, they will carry you." Chioma's voice shook a little, but she forced it steady. "If police come, I will tell them the truth." Mama Ejiro leaned close and lowered her voice. "Chioma, please, be careful. People don't just appear in the bush like that." Chioma looked at them. All those faces, all that fear. Then she said softly, "Sometimes help is all somebody needs. Fear should not make us wicked." The women murmured and walked away slowly, shaking their heads. Chioma watched them go. Her stomach felt tight, but she went back inside because the girl was still lying there, and Chioma could not ignore a life. That night, rain threatened but didn't fall. The air stayed heavy and warm. Chioma sat near the girl and listened to her breathing. At midnight, the girl stirred and mumbled something. Chioma leaned closer. The girl's lips moved again. "Mask." Chioma frowned. "Mask? What mask, my daughter?" The girl's body trembled. Chioma touched her forehead, still hot. "Sleep," Chioma whispered. "Sleep first." But Chioma did not sleep well, because something about the girl's condition didn't feel like ordinary sickness. This wasn't just hunger. This was fear. This was something else. And as Chioma stared at the darkness, she kept thinking, who would leave a young woman to die in a bush path? Morning came bright, too bright, and the girl finally sat up slowly, eyes clearer now. She looked around Chioma's small room like someone waking in a new world. Then her eyes landed on Chioma, and she whispered, "Where am I?" Chioma smiled gently, but her voice stayed careful. "You are in Odo Ama," she said, "in Delta State. You are safe." The girl blinked hard. "Delta," she repeated like it didn't make sense. How did I? Her face tightened as memory tried to return. Chioma quickly placed her hand on the girl's shoulder. "Easy. Don't force your head." The girl swallowed. "My name is Anita," she said, voice shaky. I don't understand. I was in Abuja." Chioma's stomach turned. Abuja? That was very far. Anita stared at her hands as if the answers were written there. Then she whispered, "Some people, masked people. They grabbed me. They covered my face. I screamed, but nobody helped." Her voice broke on the last word, and she covered her mouth quickly, ashamed of crying. Chioma shook her head slowly, anger rising in her chest. "Evil," she murmured, "pure evil." Anita wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "All I remember," she continued, "was waking up, in the bush. My head was hurting. I tried to walk, but I fell. I thought I would die there." Chioma's eyes became wet without permission. She looked away quickly, pretending she was fine. "God said no," Chioma whispered. Anita looked at her again, really looked at her, and her eyes softened. "Thank you," she said. "You saved me." Chioma waved it off like it was nothing. "Eat," she said, standing up. "Food first, then we talk." But inside Chioma's heart, fear was now sitting quietly. Because if Anita was taken, then somebody might still be looking for her. And if those people found out Chioma had helped her, Oda Ama might not stay quiet for long. Chioma placed the food down. Anita ate slowly this time, not like a starving person, like someone trying to act normal while her inside was still shaking. After eating, Anita sighed. "I need to go home," she said, "but I don't have money. My bag is gone. My phone is gone. Everything." Chioma's eyes dropped to the floor. Her savings were small, very small, money she kept for medicine, for salt, for kerosene. She walked to her old metal box, opened it, and counted what was inside. It wasn't much, but it was something. She walked back and placed the notes in Anita's hand. Anita's eyes widened in shock. "Mama, no." Chioma closed Anita's fingers over the money. "You will go," she said firmly. "You will not stay here and suffer. If your family is looking for you, let them find you alive." Anita's eyes filled again. But what about you? Chioma forced a smile. I have been managing before you came, she said softly. God will still help me after you. Go. Anita held the money like it was fire. Then she reached forward and hugged Chioma. Tight, sudden, real. Chioma felt Anita shake against her, a young woman trying to be strong, but not fully able. Chioma patted her back slowly. It is well, she whispered. It is well. Anita stepped outside later, ready to leave. The sun was high. The village women watched from a distance like judges. Anita turned back at the gate of Chioma's compound. She looked at Chioma for a long time. Then she said, quietly but clearly, Mama Chioma. I don't know how, but I will not forget this. Chioma nodded. Go safely. Anita walked away. Dust rose behind her feet, and Chioma stood there, watching until she could no longer see the girl. She went back inside, sat down. And for the first time in a long time, Chioma cried. Not loud, just small tears, because her heart didn't know whether to feel proud or afraid. Back to now. The convoy. The crowd. The kneeling girl. The billionaire stepping forward. Chioma's knees weakened again. The girl, Anita, still held her hand tightly as if she was afraid Chioma would disappear. Chief Benson removed his dark glasses slowly, and his eyes were red. He looked like a man who had not slept in weeks. He looked at Chioma like she was a miracle walking. Then his voice came out rough, full of emotion. Are you Chioma? The woman who saved my only child? Chioma opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Her throat locked. The whole village waited, and Chioma felt her vision dim slightly. As the world began to tilt, because the moment was too big, too heavy. And just as Chief Benson reached out his hand to hold her, Chioma's body swayed forward, her eyes rolled. And she started to fall, right there, in front of the billionaire, in front of the whole village. And someone screamed, Mama Chioma! Chioma did not hit the ground. Strong hands caught her just in time. The world came back in pieces, sound first, then light, then faces. Too many faces, worried faces, curious faces, faces she had known all her life, now staring at her like she had turned into someone else overnight. Bring water. Fan her. She fainted. Chioma blinked. Her head felt heavy. Her ears rang like someone had struck a bell inside them. Slowly the scene became clear. She was sitting on a wooden chair now, right in front of her mud house. Anita was kneeling beside her, holding her hand tightly, tears running freely down her cheeks, and standing directly in front of her, too close, too real, was Chief Benson. Not on TV, not on radio, right here, in Odo Ama. Easy, Mama, Chief Benson said gently, his deep voice steady but emotional. You are safe. Chioma swallowed. Her throat felt dry like she had swallowed sand. She looked at him again, properly this time. The fine white outfit, the clean sandals, the watch that looked like it could buy her whole village, the face she had seen on the news weeks ago, looking tired, broken, begging for help for his missing daughter. Her heart squeezed. So it was true, she whispered. You are her father. Anita nodded quickly, squeezing Chioma's hand. Yes, Mama, this is my father, Chief Benson. Chioma's eyes filled instantly. She tried to sit up straighter, embarrassed. Ah, forgive me, she said, trying to stand. I did not know. Chief Benson raised his hand immediately. No, please, he said. Don't stand. Don't bow. You don't owe me respect. His voice cracked slightly. I owe you my daughter's life. The crowd gasped. The words hit the villagers like thunder. Some women covered their mouths. Some men shook their heads slowly. Mama Ejiro whispered, God forgive us. Chioma's hands trembled. I only gave her food, Chioma said quietly. Rice, water, painkiller. That is all. Chief Benson shook his head slowly. That was everything. He turned to the crowd. For 1 week, he said loudly, his voice carrying across the village, we searched Abuja, hospitals, bushes, police stations. We thought my daughter was gone forever. Anita sniffed and wiped her face. My father stopped sleeping, she said softly. He stopped eating. Chief Benson nodded, his eyes shining. And then she came home, he continued, alive, weak, but alive. He paused, breathing in deeply, and she told me about an old widow in a remote village in Delta State who saw her dying on a bush path and chose kindness over fear. He looked back at Chioma. You? Chioma pressed her lips together, trying not to cry again. Around them the village was silent, the same people who had warned her, the same people who had mocked her. Auntie Bissy stared at the ground. Chief Benson turned slightly and motioned. Immediately, two men in black suits stepped forward and held Chioma's chair more firmly. "We brought a doctor," Chief Benson said, "just in case." A woman in neat medical scrubs approached gently, checking Chioma's pulse, her blood pressure. "You're okay," the nurse said softly. "Just shock." Chioma laughed weakly. "Yes," she said, "big shock." A small, nervous laughter passed through the crowd, but the tension stayed, because everyone could feel it. Something big was about to happen. Chief Benson's house in Maitama had never been quiet, but the silence after Anita disappeared. It was unbearable. The mansion was full of people. Police officers, security men, aides, relatives, but it felt empty. Too empty. Chief Benson sat in his private study, staring at the same photo on his phone for the 100th time. Anita, smiling, alive, happy, his only child. "She must be somewhere," he whispered again, though nobody was there to hear him. The police officer, standing near the door, cleared his throat. "Sir," he said carefully, "we have checked all known locations. We will continue tomorrow." Tomorrow, that word had started to feel like an insult. Chief Benson waved him away. When the door closed, the strong man finally broke. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and covered his face with his hands. "I failed you," he whispered into the silence. "I should have protected you." For years he had built companies, controlled markets, signed billionaire deals. But none of that could help him now. Then, late one evening, the gate alarm sounded. His heart jumped violently. A security guard ran in. "Sir, sir, someone is at the gate." Chief Benson stood up so fast his chair fell. "Who?" It's your daughter, sir." The world stopped. Chief Benson ran, not walked, ran. He didn't wait for protocol. He didn't wait for confirmation. He ran barefoot down the marble stairs. And there, standing weakly at the gate, was Anita. Alive, thin, shaking, his legs gave way. He fell to his knees right there on the driveway and pulled her into his arms. "My child, my child," Anita cried into his chest like a little girl again. "I tried to come home, Daddy," she sobbed. "I tried." Doctors came, nurses, tests, scans. Anita slept for almost 2 days straight, and when she finally woke up properly, she told her story about the masked men, about waking in the bush, about Odo Ama, about Mama Chioma. Chief Benson listened in silence. Then he stood up. "We are going there," he said. The doctors protested. "She needs rest." Chief Benson nodded. "She will rest," he said. "Then we will go." And for the first time since Anita disappeared, his eyes burned with purpose. The sun was beginning to slide lower, painting the village with gold. Chief Benson turned to the villagers again. "I have not come here to frighten anyone," he said. "I came to thank a woman." He looked down at Chioma. "Mama Chioma," he said, voice thick, "what you did changed my life. You gave me back my child." Chioma shook her head. "I did what my heart told me," she replied. Chief Benson smiled sadly. "That is why the world needs you." A murmur passed through the crowd. "What does that mean? Is he going to take her to Abuja?" Ah. Chioma's stomach tightened. She did not like sudden attention. She leaned closer to Anita and whispered, "My daughter, I am not used to all this." Anita smiled softly, squeezing her hand. "You deserve it, Mama." Chief Benson reached into his pocket and brought out an envelope. The villagers leaned forward. Chioma's eyes widened slightly. "No," she said quickly, "please, I did not help her for money." Chief Benson paused, then he slowly lowered the envelope. "I know," he said gently. "That is why this matters." He looked around at the cracked walls of Chioma's house, the old zinc roof, the bare compound. Then he said something that made Chioma's heart skip. "Mama Chioma, will you allow me to come back?" The village froze. Come back? Chioma repeated. Yes, Chief Benson said, to this village, to your home. An uneasy excitement buzzed through the air. Chioma didn't understand. Why? She asked honestly. Chief Benson looked at her with deep seriousness. Because kindness like yours should not end in poverty. Before Chioma could respond, a loud voice cut through the air. It was Auntie Bessie. Chief, she said nervously, stepping forward, we warned her that day. We told her to be careful. We didn't know. Chief Benson turned slowly. His eyes were calm. Too calm. That is the problem, he said quietly. You didn't know. And yet you judged. The words landed hard. Silence swallowed the village. Chioma felt uncomfortable. She tugged at Anita's sleeve. Please, she whispered, don't let there be trouble. Anita nodded. She stood up and faced the crowd. My life did not end in this village, she said clearly. It began again here. People shifted. Some lowered their heads. Then Anita turned to Chioma again and said something unexpected. Mama, I want to stay with you tonight. Gasps erupted. Chief Benson looked surprised. Anita, I need it, she said firmly. I need to sleep under the roof that saved me. Chioma's eyes widened. My house is small, she said quickly. No comfort. Anita smiled. It is enough. Chief Benson hesitated, then nodded. All right, he said slowly. One night. The convoy stayed. Security men positioned themselves quietly around the compound. Lights were set up. Odo Ama had never seen anything like it. That night, Chioma lay on her thin mattress again. Anita slept. Beside her, just like the first time. But this time Chioma could not sleep, because she could feel it in her bones. This was not the end, this was only the beginning, and whatever Chief Benson planned to do next would shake Odo Ama forever. Odo Ama did not sleep that night, not because of sickness, not because of rain, but because light refused to leave the village. Generators hummed like restless insects. Security torches swept slowly across compounds that had only known moonlight all their lives. Children pretended to sleep but kept one eye open. Old men sat up on wooden stools, whispering to themselves. This village had never hosted power. Now power had come, and parked itself in front of Chioma's mud house. Inside the small room, Chioma lay stiff on her thin mattress, staring at the ceiling made of cracked wood and spider webs. Beside her, Anita slept quietly, her breathing steady and soft. Chioma turned her head slightly and watched the girl. 2 months ago, this same girl had been almost lifeless on a bush path. Now armed men guarded her outside. Life was strange. Life was very strange. Chioma swallowed and whispered, God, what have you brought into my house? She closed her eyes, but sleep refused to come, because her mind kept replaying the faces of the villagers that evening. The shock, the regret, the fear, especially Auntie Bissie's face, tight, pale, unsure. Chioma sighed. She did not enjoy being the center of attention. She had lived her whole life quietly, surviving by routine. Wake up, farm, cook, pray, sleep. Now everything felt unstable, like the ground itself was shifting. Outside, a guard coughed softly. Chioma flinched. She had never had guards. She had never had visitors at night. She turned again, restless. Anita stirred and opened her eyes. Mama, she whispered. Chioma answered immediately. Yes, my daughter? You're awake. Chioma gave a small laugh. Sleep ran away. From me. Anita sat up slowly and hugged her knees. I used to complain that Abuja was too noisy, she said quietly. But this silence feels louder. Chioma studied her face in the dim light. You are afraid? Chioma asked gently. Anita nodded. Not of the village, she said, of remembering. Chioma reached out and placed her hand on Anita's back. Pain does not disappear because you hide from it, she said, but it becomes lighter when shared. Anita swallowed. They didn't take me for money, she said suddenly. Chioma frowned. Then why? Anita hesitated, then said softly, because of my name. Chioma's heart tightened. Someone wanted to use me to hurt my father, Anita continued. I heard them say it. They thought I was unconscious. Chioma's eyes widened slightly. They said, When Benson bends, everything bends. Silence stretched between them. Chioma felt a cold line run down her spine. So they left you to die, she whispered. Anita nodded slowly. They thought I was finished. Chioma closed her eyes. Evil. Again. She shook her head gently. The world can be cruel, but God still hides mercy in strange places. Anita leaned against her and whispered, "You are my strange place, Mama." Chioma's chest tightened. She blinked rapidly. Outside, the night continued to breathe. The next morning came early, not because the sun was impatient, but because people were already awake. By the time Chioma stepped outside, leaning on her walking stick, the village square was already crowded. Women in wrappers, men in faded shirts, children climbing mango trees for a better view. Chief Benson stood near his convoy, speaking quietly with the traditional ruler's messenger. When Chioma appeared, murmurs spread like fire. "She's coming. That's her. Mama Chioma." Anita followed behind her, holding her hand. Chief Benson turned and immediately walked toward them. "Good morning, Mama," he said respectfully. Chioma nodded. "Good morning, sir." He paused, then corrected her gently. "Call me Benson." The villagers stiffened. Chioma hesitated. "That will be difficult." Chief Benson smiled faintly. "Then call me my daughter's father." That felt safer. They moved toward the village square, where a wooden chair had been placed under the big Iroko tree. Chioma tried to protest. "This is too much," she whispered to Anita. Anita squeezed her hand. "Just listen." Chief Benson cleared his throat. "My people of Odo Ama," he began. The village went silent. "I did not come here to embarrass anyone," he said. "I came because I owe a debt that cannot be paid with words." He gestured toward Chioma. "This woman did what many of us would be too afraid to do. She chose compassion when fear was easier." Some women shifted uncomfortably. Some men nodded slowly. "Chief," Benson continued, "I have wealth, I have influence, but none of that saved my daughter that day." He paused. "A plate of jollof rice did." The words landed hard. A ripple passed through the crowd. Chioma's eyes burned. Chief Benson turned toward her. "Mama Chioma," he said, "what do you need?" The question echoed. Chioma froze. She was not prepared for that. She shook her head immediately. "Nothing." The crowd murmured again. Chief Benson studied her face. "Think carefully," he said. "This is not charity. This is gratitude." Chioma took a deep breath. Then she spoke slowly, choosing each word like it mattered. "My house leaks when it rains," she said quietly, "but I am used to it." Some people laughed nervously. "My back pains me," she continued, "but it has pained me for years." She paused, then she said the one thing that surprised everyone. "There is no clinic here." Silence. "When children fall sick," Chioma went on, "we pray they survive the night. When women give birth, we pray harder." She lifted her eyes to Chief Benson. "If you truly want to thank me, don't do it for me alone." The square went completely still. Anita's breath caught. Chief Benson did not respond immediately. He stared at Chioma for a long time, then his eyes softened. And slowly, he smiled. Chief Benson turned to his aides. "Take note," he said calmly. People leaned forward. "A hospital," he said. "Here." Gasps. "A proper one," he continued, "with equipment, staff, power." The crowd exploded. Women screamed. Men shouted praise. Children jumped. Chioma's knees weakened again. Anita held her quickly. "Papa," Anita whispered. Chief Benson raised his hand. "And Mama Chioma's house," he added, "will not remain mud." The cheering grew louder. Some people cried openly now. Chioma shook her head slowly, overwhelmed. "This is too much," she whispered. Chief Benson stepped closer and said softly, "No, this is just enough." Then he turned to the messenger of the traditional ruler. "Tell King Okoro," he said, "that I will return in 1 month." The messenger bowed quickly and ran off. The villagers buzzed. 1 month. Plans began forming in the air. Dreams that had been asleep for decades started stretching, but not everyone was happy. From the edge of the crowd, Auntie Bissy watched silently. Her face was tight, her lips pressed thin, because she remembered her words from that day. You will carry trouble. And now trouble had arrived, wearing gratitude. She turned slowly and walked away. Later that day, Chioma sat alone outside her house, the excitement fading into a strange heaviness. Anita was inside, speaking quietly with her father. Chioma stared at the road. A thought crept into her mind. What if this attention brought danger? What if the people who left Anita to die found out she survived, found out where she survived? Chioma's chest tightened. She stood slowly and went inside. Anita, she said softly, you must be careful. Anita looked up. Why? Chioma hesitated, then said the truth. Evil does not like to be exposed. Anita nodded slowly. I know. Just then, a security man rushed in, breathless. Sir, he said urgently to Chief Benson, we just received a call. Chief Benson stood immediately. What kind of call? The guard swallowed. A warning. The room froze. What kind of warning? Chief Benson repeated. The guard looked at Anita, then Chioma, then said the words that made Chioma's heart drop. They said, the past is not finished yet. Silence crashed into the room. Anita's fingers tightened around Chioma's arm. Chief Benson's face hardened. And in that moment, Chioma understood something clearly. Saving a life was only the beginning. Protecting it would cost much more. The warning did not leave Chioma's head. The past is not finished yet. The words followed her like a shadow. Even when the sun rose high and the village returned to its normal noise, Chioma felt watched. That morning, Chief Benson increased security around the compound. 2 men stood at the gate, another stayed near the back of the house. Their eyes moved often, too often. Chioma sat on her wooden bench, rubbing her knees. I don't like this, she murmured. Anita sat beside her, quiet. Her face was calm, but her hands were folded tightly in her lap. Evil people don't stop easily, Anita said, but they don't win easily either. Chioma studied her. You sound older than your years. Anita smiled sadly. Fear teaches quickly. Before Chioma could respond, a motorcycle sped past the compound and stopped suddenly. Dust rose into the air. Both guards moved at once. A young man jumped down, breathing hard. Message from King Okoro, he announced. Chief Benson stepped forward. The man bowed quickly. The king invites everyone to the palace this evening. He says the village must speak together. Whispers spread immediately. The palace meant judgment, decisions, change. That evening, the village gathered again. Fires burned, lamps flickered. The palace courtyard filled with people standing shoulder to shoulder. King Okoro sat on his carved stool, his staff resting beside him. When Chioma approached, leaning slightly on Anita, something unexpected happened. The king stood. A ripple of shock moved through the crowd. Then slowly he bowed. To a woman who brought blessing to our land, King Okoro said loudly, I give honor. Chioma's breath caught. Tears ran freely down her cheeks. I am only a farmer, she whispered. The king shook his head. You are more. He turned to the people. From today, this woman is under the protection of Odo Ama. The crowd responded with loud agreement. But even as claps filled the air, Chioma noticed something else. A figure standing far back, half hidden, watching. Her chest tightened. Later that night, as they returned home, Anita spoke softly. Mama, did you see him too? Chioma nodded. Yes. Chief Benson's face darkened. Who? Someone who didn't clap, Chioma replied. Someone who looked angry. The convoy lights swept the road as they drove back. The guards stayed alert. Inside the house, Chioma sat on her bed and sighed deeply. I only wanted to help, she said quietly. Anita knelt in front of her and took her hands. And you did, she said firmly. Don't let fear steal the meaning. Chioma nodded slowly. Outside, far beyond the village lights, a phone screen glowed in the darkness. A voice spoke into it, low and cold. She's still alive, the voice said, and now she has protection. A pause, then a reply. Protection can be broken. The call ended. And the night grew heavier. The day the bulldozers arrived, Odoama stood still. Children stopped playing. Women dropped their baskets. Men leaned on sticks and watched in silence. Chioma sat on her bench, her hands folded tightly in her wrapper. The old mud house behind her, the one she had lived in for over 40 years, stood quietly, as if it already knew its time had ended. Anita stood beside her. Chief Benson stood a few steps back. "Mama," Anita said softly, "are you ready?" Chioma nodded, though her eyes were wet. "I was married here," she whispered. "I raised my child here. I buried my husband from here." She paused, but maybe new walls can still hold old memories. The first push came gently. Mud cracked. The zinc roof fell with a loud cry. Some women screamed, others clapped. Chioma closed her eyes. When she opened them again, the house was gone. In its place, weeks later, stood something the village had never seen before. Clean painted mansion. Solid walls, wide windows, running water, electricity, on the same land, on the same soil. Chioma walked through it slowly, touching the walls as if they might disappear. "This is not my life," she whispered. Anita hugged her. "It is," she replied, "because you chose kindness." Not far from the house, another building rose, larger, stronger. A hospital, with beds, with nurses, with light that stayed even at night. When the ribbon was cut, Chioma stood quietly at the side. Chief Benson spoke to the crowd. "This hospital exists because one woman refused to look away." King Okoro stepped forward and did something that would be remembered for generations. He bowed. "To Mama Chioma," he said, "the mother of our miracle." The crowd cheered. Chioma cried openly. From that day, Anita flourished again, strong, confident, smiling. The shadows in her eyes slowly faded. She returned to her work, but she returned often to the village. And every time she came with her father. They never arrived empty-handed. School fees were paid, medical bills cleared, dreams quietly lifted. People began to wait for their visits, not with greed, but with hope. Chioma became Mama to everyone. Children ran to her, women sought her prayers. Men listened when she spoke. One evening, as Chioma sat watching the sunset, Anita rested her head on her shoulder. "You became my grandmother," Anita said. Chioma smiled, "and you became my answered prayer." If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.